These are stories of outdoor adventure and expert advice from folks with calloused hands. I'm James Nash, and this is the Six Ranch Podcast. I got my first trail camera when I was 10 years old. It took 8 D-cell batteries and had a roll of film, and I set it up on a dead cow to see what would come in on it. I was so excited to take that roll of film to town, get them developed, and when I got my photos back, it was mostly just blurry photos of ravens and magpies, but in one of them, in the dark, I could see all these eyes circling this cow off in the distance, just glowing in this big bright flash of this giant, awkward camera. But I was so excited by that I just knew that I'd be running game cameras forever. And they've changed so much since then. The best of the cameras now are made by Tactacam. So these reveal cell cameras will work in places that have basically no cell service at all. So I can get cell service on the camera when I can't get it on my phone. They have live view. They've got active GPS. So if a bear packs my camera off, I can find it again. Or if I forget about it, definitely have done that. I can change all of the features through the app on my phone. The photos and videos just get sent to me. And ultimately, this makes me a better hunting guide because I can monitor a really wide area without going in there and disturbing the wildlife in that area, right? I'm just getting the intel back and making decisions based off of what I'm seeing on those cameras. If you want to learn more about Reveal, go to www.tactacam.com and check out their newest camera. That's the Ultra. That's the one that I'm using right now. And it's, simply put, the easiest and best trail camera that I've ever used. So go check it out. Cate Havstad, welcome back to the show. It's been some years.
Has it? Yeah, it's been years. It doesn't feel like it, but yeah, we were in my workshop last time we hung out in Madras, Oregon, in the hat shop.
How is the hat shop?
The hat shop's great.
Has not burned down.
No.
I'm worried at some point every year that a fire is going to come burn your hat shop down.
We did have a fire burn like 3 sides around my shop, and it was very fortunate that there was a quick response. I was on my way back home from Montana when that happened, and that fire did claim one shack on our property, which is actually the shack that Chris and I first lived in when we first moved to the Madras farm in 2017. So that was a loss, but man, you know, it would have been devastating if my hat shop had gone. So, yeah.
What all is going on these days on Casad Farms?
Yeah, okay, what's going on in Casad? So, Casad Family Farms, as you know, has had several kind of iterations, starting from, organic vegetable production at a small scale, then organic vegetable production at a large scale. And these days, it is primarily, the grazing of cattle, the containment and feeding of, I shouldn't say containment, but the attempted containment of hogs on pasture. They continue to challenge all of our best efforts. And we've gone from being a business that was, like 80% vegetable sales, maybe 20% meat sales, to today, we're pretty much 100% dependent on our meat sales. And so we have grown our cow-calf herd, we've grown sort of our stocker and finishing operation, and then we really expanded our pig production to where, the max, like maybe we had like 350 hogs that we were finishing, and we have contracted it since then. And we could talk about that, but
what does that mean?
It means we pulled back on how many pigs we're raising and finishing. And that's like a quality of life decision.
And are you pasture raising these hogs?
Yes. Yep. So we farrow all of our own sows.
What does farrow mean?
Farrow is to, birth your own piglets.
Midwifing.
Midwifing of the sows.
Mm-hmm. Or a pig doula, maybe.
Yeah. Chris would not be happy with that. But I think I'm going to pull that out of my pocket when I need to.
Sure. Yeah. You should build him a little kit with like some crystals and some essential oils.
Lavender bath salts. Look, we give those sows the best possible birthing environment possible.
Bring a little waiting pool out there.
Look.
In case they want to have like a wet birth. I don't know.
Having done the birthing twice now, I am like, they deserve all of it. It's crazy, man, to watch like 12 or 13 piglets come out of a sow and just be like, oh my God.
And you don't know how many more are coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pigs are so remarkable.
Yeah.
They are so incredibly cool. I love meat. Huge fan. Eat it every day. Eat it every day. If a meal doesn't have meat, it is a snack. Like, that's not a meal. There's even a legend in my family about this that every Nash man like takes to heart and carries to this day, which is kind of funny. My great granddad on my dad's side was named Chief. He was born without a name. Birth certificate said Baby Nash.
Wow.
And later on, he went by Chief. And one day, Chief sat down for dinner, and there was no meat. And he asked his wife, "Where's the meat?" And she said, "There isn't any." And he said, "That will never happen again." And it hasn't. So this is a genetic mandate that we carry on.
Yeah.
I suppose it would be okay to eat and not eat meat, but it's not okay to be a man and own this name and not have meat available.
I would have to say that our family is in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris would definitely give me the same sort of puzzled look if I put a plate full of vegetables with no meat.
Right.
And our boys are like, yeah, absolutely carnivores. I mean, I push the vegetables. I want them to expand their palates, but they've been drinking bone broth since they were newborns. Mm-hmm. They've been gnawing on, T-bones or ribeye bones since forever. Those were like our OG teething toys for our boys. Bones.
And the last time we talked, I had just shot a bear and I brought some bear meat down there.
Oh, and we loved that.
Yeah, your boys were into it.
God, you just reminded me. I meant to bring you some pork tenderloin.
Oh.
That was on my list to do, and I'm sorry I forgot.
I'm sorry too. I would have liked that. The point that I was working my way towards is that if I could only eat the meat of one animal, it would be from pigs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool to know.
What would you say? Horses?
No, and I've never tried horse.
Oh, I bet you have. You've been to Europe and had sausage, right?
God, have I had sausage in Europe? I don't know.
Charcuterie at some point?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I know I should normalize it. I guess because I don't know. I mean, I love eating things that we are growing and is from our land. So I don't know. I think right now, like, my favorite cut of meat is, like, I love a flat iron steak.
Flat iron is slept on.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's underrated.
I resisted flat iron for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad that I did that because of where it comes from. So what's your understanding of the roundup dollar?
Oh, I don't know.
Every time a cow gets sold at auction, there's this roundup dollar that goes to some nationwide organization that comes up with things like beef. It's what's up for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So they're marketing campaigns.
Collective lobbying effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I should know more about this, but I'm pretty sure that organization also came up with a flat iron steak because this was previously a cut of meat that was just getting ground up. Butchers were saying, hey, this is actually a pretty good piece of meat.
Totally.
We should be selling it as a steak. They gave it a fancy name.
Yeah.
And I'm resistant to fancy names. I don't want to get marketed to.
I know.
I don't want to get tricked.
I know. We play the game.
And it comes off of a shoulder. I'm like, that's not where good steaks come from. But point of fact, it does.
I know.
It is.
I know. I didn't really like, so I think I like it actually because it's a little bit of the underdog of the steaks.
It is.
So that's my tendencies.
Flat iron, skirt steak, also very good.
And hanger steak, like anything from that part of the animal I love.
I'm mad about hanger.
Why? Tell me.
It's so little.
It is. I know.
And I think it has more of a reputation than what it deserves.
So like a bavette, which is like a little bit girthier. Do you like that better?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried something in the name of like marketing and trying to get people to try new things. It does matter, the psychology of what you call things. So we had a lot of these, it should have just gone to grind, but we ended up with a lot of these kind of it was labeled as London broil. So it was a lot of I don't know, just not super great steaks, but very economical steaks.
Mm-hmm.
So we started calling them prairie steaks.
Nice.
To see if that would change the psychology of people who would we need you to buy these. Because in our culture, we don't really have a sort of culture around London broil like they do in England.
Yeah. And, round steak is another one,
yeah.
right? Round steak is definitely a steak that I grew up eating.
Yeah.
Cut from a hindquarter.
Yep.
And it's not a steak in the same sense that a ribeye or a New York or one of those middle meats are, but it's a lot of meat and it's very healthy. I've also been reading more and more about the way facial structures have changed in humans.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at pictures of people before 1950, you're going to see some square jaws across the board, men and women. And they were chewing on chewier meat. Wisdom teeth getting removed, that's a new thing, right? Because we used to have a broader mouth and a broader palate to be able to chew on this stuff. And it completely changed our facial structure, including the way we breathe.
Yes.
So I really think that people should be eating these tougher, leaner pieces of meat, not only for the nutrition of it, but also for the physical health that comes from the act of chewing it up.
This is treading into interesting territory that spirals on a conversation I was having this morning about facial manipulation, in cosmetic surgery. And my friends and I were chatting about Botox because there's some studies coming out about it being tied to neurodegenerative disease, but also it being tied to when women can't really express emotion in their face, affecting them actually, and then the children who they care for, that's how children read you, is a lot of times your facial expressions, not just tone.
Of course.
So it's causing some interesting social dynamics to evolve because we have more frozen faces. But I have a very square jaw. I've got a strong masseter, and I've been marketed to women are putting Botox in their masseter muscles to get a slimmer facial appearance. So I remember looking in the mirror semi-recently and being man, I do have a really square jaw. And then questioning if that was less beautiful because the stuff has entered my mind through the internet. And I just was holy shit. Even somebody like me who's a very confident, pretty self-assured person, I had a moment of being that you can put Botox in your masseter and I would have a slimmer jawline.
Don't do that.
I know, I won't ever, but I'm just saying
or
that.
do, it's none of my business.
It's, yeah. I'm a vain woman. I like to look good, but I never would look at somebody's strong jaw and think that was I'm saying this because I'm Weston A. Price talked a lot about facial structure, the evolution of our dental health. And then that spun into what is the Weston A. Price's sort of nutritional advocacy for a whole food sort of diet. And how, at this point, we are part of a generation trying to re-educate people on you should eat the chewy meat. You should try and eat nose to tail. And if I could take this like in a little bit of like a mini circle back to where we started about what's happening at Casad Family Farms, we expanded our direct-to-consumer meat program a lot fast. I wrote and was awarded a value-added producer grant in 2021, and that was really at the height of our water loss situation. And so to summarize that, we lost about 80% of our irrigation waters like very quickly. And so I was pivoting the farm business very quickly from being a wholesale vegetable operation to this meat business. And I had a vision of how we were going to grow it. And in my head, right, I had like revenue goals, because that's like to stop the bleeding and keep us on that land. We needed the business to pivot quick. And so I was successful in all these efforts. I did, all the advertising. We created this retail box program. We built a website where you can shop by the cut. And I was really trying to like build what was, almost like a mini butcher box experience, because I thought that was how we were going to win and how we were going to acquire all the new customers we would need to acquire. And I feel like we have gone through some evolutions in our thinking over the past couple of years, where we hit the sort of like peak, and it was working. But then we stepped back and we were like, but is this truly what we want? Because then we had built a culture of convenience, and we had built a culture of people are shopping by the cut, which leaves you with certain inventory problems. And I just started to question if this is actually the way to build and scale. And then I did a really heavy economic analysis this past winter of all the different ways that we sell our meats. And we sell, retail by the cut through the boxes where you can shop online, and either we ship it to you or we do home delivery in Bend. You can meet us at the farmer's market and buy it that way. We have meat in like a grocery store, kind of cooperative type grocery store in Bend. You can shop there. Or you can buy meat shares where you commit to a quarter, half, or whole animal. And by far, our shares model is the best margin for the farm. It is the
best deal for the customer.
Best deal for the customer. And it allows us to harvest our animals on the farm and process them at the butcher in Redmond, Oregon. So I just have to say, like, from a social standpoint, it also feels the best, because the shares customer is somebody who is saying, I commit to eat a large percentage of my meat diet from you. And generally they're perennial customers. They get a quarter or half from us every year. And we truly form, like, we have customers who have been shares customers for 10 years. And so for all those reasons, like, Chris and I stepped back and we're like, man, maybe we got to rethink what ball we were pushing forward. And we're sort of starting to, we're not going to do away with that box program, by the cut program, but we do feel happiest, and it is economically the best for our customers and us to expand our shares program.
Americans are eating 57 pounds of beef per person per year, based on data from 2019, 2021, 2022, we were 58.8, 59.5 pounds, 2023, 58.1. So we're hovering right around that mark. A quarter beef from you guys for actual consumable beef, about how many pounds would that be?
Oh, I should know this off the top of my head, and I'm blanking right now, but like, say, okay, cut this out. I'm going to look it up.
Okay. Yeah. Sam, we're looking stuff up right now, buddy.
I'll also add, we're raising a smaller carcass size these days compared to like a straight up Angus. We have really developed, thanks to the support and opportunity that Tony and Andrea Momberg have given us to take on some of their herd, and it's an Aubrecht Tarentaise cross.
Oh, what?
Aubrac Tarentaise. They're French, kind of like high altitude French heritage breeds that Tony and Andrea became really excited about for a lot of different reasons. They're great grass converters. The mothers produce a lot of milk on a sort of rangy, low quality forage. They're excellent mothers, like 100% birth success rates with nice smaller size calves. They've, totally calved out independently. We've not needed to doctor anybody. And the meat has been fantastic, but they are slightly smaller carcass size. So to circle back to our shares, so if you get a quarter beef from Casad Family Farms, you're looking at approximately 120 to 140 pounds of take-home meat.
So that's enough beef for 2 people for a year, if we're average beef consumers.
Yeah. And then if you entertain and host friends, or you've got some kids, we now do a half carcass for our family because we've got 2 boys who eat. I mean, my youngest Crosby, who is a year and a half now, he eats as much beef as I do.
Yeah.
So we do a half for our family.
Sure. And that'll go up.
Yeah.
Like once those boys are teenagers,
I don't know.
they'll be eating half of a beef, just them.
I know.
So would beef be would cows be your one animal to eat meat from if you could only have one? It would.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Gosh, that's tough for me. There's just so much you can do with pork.
I know.
They're so diverse.
I know.
They're smart. They can eat everything.
Yeah, they do.
And then, their feed conversions are incredible compared to every other animal.
Yeah. I am of the mindset, I love pork and I love good pork, but I am like these days really feeling, because I've gotten to know pigs, I'm so disturbed by the commodity version of growing pigs. And I am a supporter of agriculture, period. But I increasingly really struggle to imagine, the world where like the commodity version of raising pork is just normal because it's so horrible.
You're talking about the big hog barns that have tens of thousands of hogs in the same facility.
Yep. And the mothers are kept in cages where they can't get up. So they just are there to nurse and that's it, and so, I mean, not to go down that rabbit hole, but So, I mean, look, when I know pork is coming from like a high quality pastured environment, I do love pork. Like I love to make, my love language is when we have special guests or special occasions, I love to make like a pork shoulder ramen dish, do like chashu type shoulder, marinated, sliced, pan fried, a beautiful broth.
And since we talked about shoulders earlier, pork shoulder is where it's at compared to the ham.
I know.
That hind quarter, pretty lean.
Tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how wildly different these animals are when you switch from a hog to a beef or a lamb, whatever.
I wish that we actually, I would like to eat more lamb, and I wish in general people ate more lamb. But yeah, meat is such a personal thing. I feel best when I eat like just meat and vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had this fairly recent realization because my garden is crushing right now. My garden is doing so well, and a lot of things are in season and harvestable at the moment. So first thing in the morning, and I do this every year. First thing in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, go out to the garden, pick some weeds if it's earlier in the year. This time of year, that stage is kind of over. The weeds have either been killed or if they've won.
Yes.
At this point.
Yes.
But a lot of stuff is ready to pick. And what I've realized, Kate, is that if it's growing in my garden, I can eat as much of it as I want.
Yeah.
It is impossible for me to go out there and eat an unhealthy amount of anything that I've grown in that garden.
Yes.
And it's very much the same with these animals that are raised in a healthy and sustainable way that's natural for that animal, right? A pig isn't supposed to stay in one spot and eat one mixed up slurry of food and not be able to move around. They're supposed to go out and root around and dig up the ground and eat, some bugs and some larvae and some roots and some fresh green grass and some old brown grass. They're supposed to have a complicated diet just like us.
Yeah.
And that comes through in the flavor of that meat.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing that you alluded to, which is when people cow share, when they buy a share of an animal and it can get killed locally on your ranch without having to get trailered someplace.
Yeah.
Without having to go to a facility where there's a, USDA inspector who's there, in this very production killing environment where they're trying to get an animal through every 16 or 18 seconds or whatever. Like if they're just standing in a pen or standing in the pasture and somebody, calmly goes out there and rests a rifle on a fence post and shoots them in the head while they still have a piece of grass hanging out of their mouth, that animal died in a much more ethical way, in my opinion. Right? We're doing our best with USDA processed stuff. We're doing our best with these large feed operations where you have, hundreds of thousands of chickens or tens of thousands of pigs or 10,000 head of cattle in a feedlot. We're trying to make food efficiently to feed a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
But if you can buy an animal this other way, where it's raised and it lives its life and is killed in a more ethical way, and then it goes to a local butcher shop that has, local people from the area who are cutting and wrapping and packaging that meat, putting their name on the label that goes on that package and, sending it to you, and you're taking it to a farmer's market or wherever. This is the way, right? This is the way that it's always been, or as close to it as we can get as far as agriculture goes. And it gets as close as we can get to hunting harvest as well.
Yes.
Right? Which is what we've done for, most of the last 60,000 years is hunting harvest. So if we can translate that into our domestic livestock, raising and harvest, and get as close to that wild hunting model as possible, you're going to have the healthiest and best tasting product out there, period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah. And I just, to reiterate this, everybody's doing the best we can. And I'm not naive. I don't think that this is what it needs to be everywhere for everybody. But for the person who has a desire to get as close as possible to their food, to really invest in their backyard, this way of doing it is what feels best. I mean, it's what I've had the great fortune to get to do for 10 years now, since I've been associated with what was first Juniper Jungle Farm and is now called Casad Family Farms, is, once a year, fill my freezer with beef grown from this place that I have a personal and intimate connection with the people who are doing the growing of the food, even before I was married to Chris. And same with the pork. And so anyways, it's been a journey, all of business is about pivoting. And I think what's really important to, all businesses, but especially agricultural ones, is, I've been taught through this school of holistic management, and it does provide me with this holistic context and a way of evaluating, where are we on track and where maybe are we deviating, and not just from the revenue perspective, which is a huge component of it, but from the quality of life side, which I've increasingly been asking. We have been collectively asking questions that align with quality of life as a metric.
How do you measure that? I mean, you're using the word metric.
I know. I mean, we know when we've gone too far.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. When we experience legit burnout. Actually, when you were talking about your garden, I think that our gardens are good reflections of where we're at. So you seem like you're in a really good spot because your garden is looking dope.
Wait till you see it.
I can't wait.
We're going to go do a garden tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told Adele I was going to judge your potatoes, so.
Oh, that is what I want to be judged on. You can judge me on my taters or my green beans. Please be gentle with me on my corn. All right.
You got a short season.
We have a 65-day window here. We're trying hard.
I know it's hard.
But I still made it.
Any melons?
No, that's lower elevation stuff.
Yeah, I believe it.
I don't know of anybody that grows melons here.
Yeah, it'd be tough. Greenhouse maybe, but yeah. So I mean, I think that metrics for quality of life. Look, there's probably in the next 20 years, there's got to be a book in me about this. But I think it's a silly thing, but it's not. What does my garden look like? It's looked kind of rough the past few years. So, how's my marriage? How are my friendships? Am I tending to my family relations well? And then of course, I feel like the businesses are reflections too of, are you overextended or are you moving in the wrong direction and you need to reevaluate? So I think also having 2 kids over the last 4 years is chaotic. It's a lot. It pulls a lot physically from both parties, but definitely from the woman a lot. So I think that we're in this era of we have been sprinting to survive. And now we're in this chapter of really coming back to that holistic context and asking those quality of life questions.
What are some things you do raising 2 young boys that somebody who has only ever lived in a city might be surprised or even horrified to see?
Well, I have sent Heston out. He's got a little Jeep, which he can drive around. And so I've sent Heston out, by himself in the Jeep to go from the house to where the chicken coop was kept this year, which we will no longer keep the chicken coop there anymore because we're down to about 5 chickens out of a lot. But I've sent him out there to go get eggs by himself. And I actually filmed him this one day. It was a series of events where he got in the Jeep, went out there. It's, I don't know, a quarter of a mile maybe from the house, but I can see him the whole way. Mm-hmm. And I watched him.
Is this a gas-powered Jeep?
It's a battery-powered Jeep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I watched him get stuck in a little mud hole, get out, maneuver the Jeep around, get back in, get it going, get to the coop with his little basket. And then on his way back, I see him notice one of his little pedal tractors. And I watched him take some bale twine, attach the tractor in a reverse manner attached to the Jeep, tow his pedal tractor behind the Jeep back, hit the same mud hole, get out, maneuver everything, keep going, park it in front of the house, undo the attachment between the tractor and the Jeep, and then with the eggs in one hand and the tractor in his other hand, bring both up to the house. And he was, 3 going on 4, maybe was going to turn 4 in a couple of months. And I videoed this whole thing and I put it on social media, and I don't know what viral means anymore, but it was kind of near viral. And so I got an opportunity to see all these comments and reactions from humans who clearly don't live this way of life. And they could not believe that he was 3 going on 4. They were saying things man, my 11-year-old doesn't even know how to take out the trash. So it was an interesting peek into people's perception of what it looks like to see a very capable farm kid.
I posted a similar video of one of my nephews driving a 3/4 ton diesel truck while we were feeding, which is the most normal thing.
You put it in first gear, low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First gear, 4-wheel low. They steer. They're in a big pasture. They're sort of helpful, but they're learning how to contribute. And the sense of responsibility that a young kid gets when they're driving a feed truck, when they might not be able to see over the steering wheel, is huge. And that's what we build off of. That video got taken down on TikTok for child endangerment.
Oh, dude. I was going to ask if people called you out for putting them in danger.
So that was the point that I was like, all right,
I know.
TikTok's not for me. And
I know.
I'm not for TikTok, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I know. I dabbled and then I decided it's like the junk food of social media. So
Yeah, it's funny. And you describing that situation like, your neighbors wouldn't probably even look twice.
yeah.
Like, oh, kids going to get the eggs.
Yeah.
Like, not a thing. But for people who are growing up in a super urban environment, sending a 3-year-old kid off in their own vehicle a third of a mile, quarter of a mile away from their house, that would never, ever happen.
There's a Japanese game show, and I don't know what the name of it is, but again, probably a highly controlled and very safe environment, but it is more urban. And this Japanese game show is literally about little kids being sent off to go to the grocery store, get X, Y, and Z for mom and bring it back, and they time them.
Nice.
I know.
I like that.
Yeah, why not? So no, I mean, I'm not naive. Like, I would not be doing this if we lived in a different context, but where we live, these boys are being exposed to, they're watching their dad and Dave, our mechanic, work on things and tinker like he knows how to use a drill. Like, they soak it all in. So I feel like really lucky that I get to raise Heston and Crosby in this environment for sure.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. They're at my neighbor's right now going through a tractor museum and getting to play with all the stuff, and they're crawling around in the ditch, and they're out in the field, and they're poking old pieces of metal, and they're just soaking it up, having fun.
We are fortunate too because we have a daycare program. It's called OCDC, Oregon Child Development Coalition, and it's pretty much like a Head Start program for the children of agricultural workers. And so I like to say, like, I'm not homeschooling. The only reason that Chris and I get to charge super hard at our work right now is because we have daycare support. So they pick up all this stuff through life with me and Chris on the farm. And then for a period of the days during the work week, they are also getting all of that social interaction, participating in a group with kids that are different from them, navigating social dynamics. So like, man, I'm grateful for rural resources like that because I would not be working the way I am working without that.
I'm seeing more super famous people wearing your hats.
Man, it's funny because I've contracted my efforts. I don't market anything when it comes to Havstad Hat Go, and I pretty much say no to everything right now. But I've had some fun ones recently.
Any for examples?
John C. Reilly.
Nice.
Which grew up on his comedy. I think he's hilarious. That was a fun one. Post Malone, that happened.
Love that guy.
I've done 3 for him, and I'm working on a couple of top secret things that are not hats for him. So I get to talk about that later in the year.
The first time I met Post was at...
You met him?
Yeah. Was at a gun show. And I didn't know who he was. And if somebody would have said that's Post Malone, it wouldn't have meant anything to me.
Yeah, sure.
Right. What I saw was a guy that I felt like probably shouldn't be that close to guns. But yeah, I talked to him for a minute. Super sweet guy.
Very nice fellow. Yeah, man. So he's taken a liking to my hats. And I took a very small amount of orders this year. And really my hat work is it's the easiest, most flow state part of my life right now. And I really love actually that I'm in that chapter with it. And that is because, 90% of my work effort really has to be funneled right now to Range Revolution, the Leather Endeavor, and Casad Family Farms.
I want to talk leather.
Yeah.
I don't know very much about this aspect of your business.
Yeah.
Talk me through it.
So Range Revolution really started in 2021, but the seeds of it were sown kind of starting in the winter of 2020. And I was pregnant with Heston. And I wanted to build something that I thought was going to be for Havstad Hat Co. I wanted to build a luggage piece. And I went out to try and start sourcing hides. in the way that, I source anything else. I wanted to find something from the ranchers that I know, something from our eco region, and as soon as I started looking, I realized that didn't exist. So that then kind of spiraled into asking questions about just the leather industry in general. Okay, like if I can't find hides from my region or ranchers in our region, like what's happening to our hides? And this was at the same time that we were just starting to really scale up our meat business. So I have to become a student of the economics of a meat business. So then I realized, okay, most family ranches like ours, when we send our steers or cull cows to slaughter, only 65% of those carcasses are getting utilized. Generally, 35% of those carcasses are being deemed waste. And that does literally mean landfilled or incinerated. Some places have like digesters set up to create compost, but not many. So then it sort of like, it touched two areas that I'm really passionate about. One, design, sustainable heritage design. And, what is the economic challenges of being a mid-sized family ranching operation where we operate on super, super slim margins. And when you think about a 35% waste stream, that is a part of the problem. If 35% of every one of our assets, which is our cattle, is going to the waste, we have got to solve for that if we want to see a more economically viable industry. And if you're a part of the cattle industry, which is, very large and at scale, and you're a part of a vertical integration, like you're selling animals into JBS or Tyson or Cargill, or, they have all of the systems set up to absorb those things, and they have markets developed for them. But this ag of the middle does not anymore. So like all things of this like middle regional size, there's a need to put our efforts into rebuilding systems of aggregation and rebuild the market development for those things so that there's offtake for it. So I decided that I wanted to work on the hide side of that waste stream, and I wanted to build leather products only sourced from ranches in America managing their lands regeneratively.
And from what I can tell, about 5 million hides a year are being wasted in the U.S.
That's the number I know too, is 5 million cattle hides a year in the United States alone are going to the waste stream.
Look, leather is awesome.
Yes.
It's better than plastic for a lot of things. Those shaps you see on the wall, I don't have a lot hanging up in this studio.
Yeah.
Right? Those are Hamleys.
Yeah.
They're over 100 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Multiple generations of men cowboyed in those things before I did.
Yep.
And that's not my job anymore, but they're going to hang up there until somebody with the same size thighs as me needs a pair of chinks.
Yeah. Can I try them on?
You're right in there. No, they'd be a bit loose on you, but yeah, you can try them. But no, and then once those things are finally done, whether it's 100 years from now or in a tragedy sooner, they're just going to dissolve back into the earth.
We have to frame this with what's the reality today. This is where once you open up the can, there's just no stuffing it back in when you start learning this stuff. Today, the textile industry, 70% of all textiles being produced, manufactured into goods today is petroleum-based plastics and, derived synthetics. There's a lot of different names for it right now. 70%. And animal fibers make up less than 2% of today's textile industry. And we have really the industries for wool have been decimated. We've got this huge waste stream in hides, leathers.
Yeah, wool isn't worth the bag that holds it. And it is incredible. I want, and maybe somebody, or maybe somebody else out there does, and they can write to me and say, I'd like to do an episode on wool.
Yes, I know the people to put you in touch with.
Really?
Yeah.
Because even when you get down to like the molecular level,
It's so cool.
it only gets more interesting
I
the
know.
closer you get to that fiber.
Well, the Duckworth guys, they are worth talking to because the Helly family, they have curated their sheep herd for the specs that you need for really fine textile wool, because it's not like any old wool is actually super great for technical gear, but they have catered their herd that way. They have built a domestic, manufacturing, vertically integrated manufacturing clothing company. And we had the opportunity to host a panel at South by Southwest this March. And I invited Daniel Mao, who is president of Duckworth, to come speak on wool. I sat there and represented Range Revolution and Leathers. And then our friend Ed Robertson from Mountain and Prairie Podcast was our moderator for the panel. And we were, South by Southwest is a major cultural event, not just for music, but for thought leadership, technology, fashion, sustainability conversations. And we were one of maybe 3 conversations of thousands that were occurring that centered agriculture and that centered sustainability and fashion. So that was really cool to have the opportunity to do. And I learned a lot about Duckworth.
The Hellies were my neighbors when I was in college.
Wow, cool.
I lived up at the airport and those merino sheep were all around me.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, there's these, so the problem, right? I saw this problem where we've got the waste stream of the cattle industry. We have a family ranching, mid-size agriculture that is economically struggling. And then we've got this problem of a fashion industry, which has for decades been pumped full of marketing dollars from a petroleum industry, which has been building refineries specifically for textiles, telling us that the vegan leather alternative is the more environmentally conscious choice. And people have missed that. We're talking petroleum here. We're talking petroleum on our bodies every day. We're talking petroleum everywhere. So this is not actually a more sustainable movement. And then in the meantime, we have crushed and decimated the markets for wool, for linen. Just so you know, Oregon used to be one of the largest producers of flax for linen in the world. Flax production, linen production in the United States is all but gone. And I have some friends who are working on the West Coast to rebuild that flax industry. Leather, we used to have tanneries on the West Coast. We used to have tanneries across the United States. They are gone, all but a few.
Why is that? Is it a chemical thing?
Well,
is it a labor thing?
I mean, it is partly like a regulation in chemical. It is challenging because we do regulate these things, which is a good thing. But it is also largely because the systems of aggregation across the country for hides has gone away. It made sense when we had systems to aggregate, and then we had regional tannery. That's just not happening anymore.
Yeah, if you've got to ship an item very far these days, then you're losing all the value in the shipping.
So we had to do that. So for the first 2 years of building Range Revolution's leather supply chain, we experienced all the inefficiencies that exist that make this near impossible. And as a startup company with very little resources and a tiny, tiny little team of pretty much 3 of us, we were aggregating hides from anywhere that we could, from ranches that were participating in some sort of ecological outcome monitoring. And then we were ping-ponging them from, say, we gathered part from Georgia, part from California, part from Minnesota. We got them to a family tannery that did veg tanning in the Midwest. And then we had developed manufacturing partnerships both in Los Angeles and also in Leon, Mexico. So these hides were being, ping-ponged around. And all I could really afford was to stitch together like pallets, maybe a couple pallets, maybe a few pallets. Very inefficient.
And are these wet green hides?
Wet salted hides.
Wet salted.
Yes.
Okay.
They had not yet gone into wet blue, which is the first stage of generally the chemical processing. And so I saw firsthand all of those inefficiencies with our eye on what the goal was we want to do regional West Coast aggregation. We want to pull from the West Coast, and then our closest tannery opportunity is going to be in Leon, Mexico. If we're talking regional, if we're talking the shortest distance from A to B, it was for us to take hides from the California and Oregon and Idaho and hopefully soon here Montana sourcing and take them straight down to Leon, Mexico.
Where's Leon?
Leon is really in the smack dab center of Mexico.
Okay.
And
North of Mexico City somewhere?
it is, I have to look at the map to actually know if it's north or south of Mexico City. I think it's actually slightly south of Mexico City.
Okay. In that zone, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guanajuato is actually like a really historic area where the Mexicans fought for their independence. It's got a lot of cool history there. So anyways, we went through all of the inefficiencies to get to a point where now this year, it was a big landmark for us. This year, we aggregated a full truckload rather than moving pallets around. So we have aggregated a full truckload and did it. We pulled them all from 3 California ranches, all that do ecological outcome verification monitoring. And we took them down to the tannery in Leon, Mexico. And we are developing leathers, not only for Range Revolution's finished products, but we are now working to be a B2B material supply company where we can offer what we have built, this traceable, regeneratively sourced leather supply chain to other brands who want to tell a similar story of provenance, traceability, sustainable sourcing.
What's B2B mean?
Business to business.
Okay.
Versus B2B or B2C or D2C. D2C refers to direct to consumer versus B2B being a business to business. So I can't name names right now, but there's like a few, I'd say mid-sized to larger size brands who we're developing leathers for as of this year. And that's a huge development for us. And it's something that took us until now, so 4 years, to get to a point where we can now offer this to other people at scale. And this is not little business. This is not little niche, folky stuff. I don't know how else to put it, not to be demeaning to folky things, but we're talking serious volume. So
Good.
I'm really excited about, what we have built so far. And it's, we just had a feature in Forbes magazine, which feels like a little big accomplishment. We're putting out a couple pairs of Cowboy boots. Actually, pre-orders launch September 1st. And then we start shipping in mid-October. So this is our first foray into boots. And, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of any other Cowboy boots that are being made from, exclusively California hides from regenerative ranches. And that's what we have done. So it feels like, it tickles all the things that I'm excited about. Like, I love beautiful design. I love utilitarian things that are beautiful. I love, showing what is possible. And if a little startup company called Range Revolution with a tiny amount of resources can stitch back together this regional supply chain that puts dollars back into the ranchers' hands and rebuilds the market and the demand for our domestic hides, why aren't all the other big companies with big fat resources doing this work?
Too hard?
Too hard.
Yeah.
Wimps.
Yeah.
It has been hard. I'm not going to lie. I have taken major, I've sacrificed a lot, and I continue to endure a lot of challenges to do this thing. And it requires a huge amount of faith. And support. Range has raised pre-seed capital to get to where we are today. I'm going back out this fall, and I'll be raising a seed round to continue our growth in this B2B realm. I've had to learn that whole side of growing a business.
I love businesses that come along and they find a product that has been undervalued, that people have just slept on and haven't been paying attention to, and they spin it and they take what was being wasted and they show people the value in it and then get it out there in the world. I think
the flat iron.
Yeah, like the flat iron steak, right? Like so many things. There's an outfit out here that saw all this wheat and barley that we're taking the seeds from, and then the straw was going for nothing, or it was just getting tilled back into the field.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, who needs a huge amount of cellulose? The mushroom growers.
Totally.
Where are they at?
Yes.
Well, it turns out almost every mushroom that you're buying from the grocery store comes from like one of 3 counties in Pennsylvania.
Totally.
And they go through insane amounts of cellulose to feed those fungi.
Yeah.
So these guys started going around and taking this low value item that people weren't utilizing, buying it on the cheap, and then figuring out how to compress it so that it was taking up less space, get it across the country and turn it into mushrooms. Genius.
Yeah. It's
hard.
We have to rebuild. Sometimes you're lucky and you find like a market already developed that you need to service. And then, man, that sounds really nice. I mean, yes, there is a market for leathers, but we're doing a lot of work to re-educate people in the fashion industry as to why leathers are not the problem, and that polysynthetic or, biofabricated alternative material that you've decided is more sustainable is actually more part of the problem.
And just a quick search here, I found 5 articles from the last couple of years that Vogue has written about fur, right? And that's one that is really triggering for a lot of people. If you're wearing fur, then that brings out the crazy in a lot of folks.
Yeah.
But the reality is it is very sustainable.
Yeah.
It's wildly effective
in
its insulative properties. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And to think that we shouldn't do this because an animal has to die in order for it to happen, it is so wild to me, because you then have to say, well, an animal isn't going to die because of petroleum production.
It actually reminds me of your conversation you had with Anna Borgman, which I listened to on my way here.
That was a good one.
Getting closer to death.
Yep.
And understanding and feeling and being witness to our impacts, to be close to death and to watch that death and to hold that. The alternative is to play pretend that our existence on Earth does not equal death or hardship on others. And I guarantee that the petroleum production, the refineries that exist to create the polysynthetic alternative fibers, which are being marketed as the eco-conscious materials, that leads to ecocide, like not just a single animal dying by one shot, but an entire ecosystem collapse. And not just of animals like mammals, I'm talking also human beings. My sister Liz Havstad has worked for an organization called the Hip Hop Caucus since Hurricane Katrina, which we're actually hitting like the anniversary of it right now. And they work in the social justice space, and their organization has been really focused on the oil refineries, which continue to expand. And I mean, from her perspective, the oil industry has pivoted from energy to textiles and other sorts of things that we use in our day-to-day life that didn't once used to be plastic, because
our D2D.
I mean, look, the move away from petroleum for energy has been coming for a long time, and the oil industry has been preparing by creating a whole new side of demand. Mm-hmm. And that comes with not just them creating the materials, it comes with giant lobbyist groups, it comes with giant marketing, it comes with very beautiful, sexy advertising. And so, I found the fashion industry and style to be a really interesting medium to do what has been a kind of, 10-year journey of my work in advocacy. Because fashion and style, it has a lot to do with how a culture defines aspiration. That is fashion. Fashion is about aspiration, whether it's the designer logo, it is a vibe, it is the celebrity wearing XYZ thing. Like so much of fashion and style is about aspiration. And I think it's an interesting medium and opportunity to redefine what is aspirational at a large pop culture level and what is true luxury. Is true luxury the logo or this item, which actually isn't made very well anymore, and it's made in a sweatshop that impoverishes and exploits human beings and then is sold at a 900%, margin? Or is luxury natural fibers, resilient landscapes, and domestic material sourcing options that actually empower and bolster family ranches in America? That sounds like pretty luxurious. So that's where I'm at. Like, that's the lane that I've sort of picked with this work with Range Revolution. And, God, my life would be a lot simpler if I just was making hats in my little shop in Madras. But, like, that's not the chapter of life I'm in right now.
Nah, you like taking bigger bites.
I took a big bite with this one.
Are you going to make anything without spoiling it? Are you going to make anything that I'm going to want to buy? I'm not a super fashionable guy, Kate.
I don't know. You wearing some cool shoes. Look, I would like to...
These are leather.
What's the brand that makes those?
I don't even want to say.
Okay. Well, say said brand wanted to source hides from American ranches. I'm here and I'm ready for you. So I might not make the shoe, but I might build the supply chain, which allows a lot of other brands to partake in this work. And it's been really interesting, I'll say. While the tariff situation has hurt a lot of American companies, and there's a lot of small businesses struggling because of the tariff situations this year, Range Revolution has been interestingly positioned. If you manufacture in the U.S. or in Leon, Mexico, it has created like a really giant opportunity for us because American companies using hides that are sourced globally will pay those tariff fees. If you're using American hides, you will not pay those tariff fees. And if you manufacture in Leon, Mexico, because of the USMCA agreements that we still have, you will, if you use a raw material of origin from the United States, it is then transformed in Mexico and then returned to the United States. You are also free of those tariffs. So
you've got a material that was available, that's ethically produced, that's renewable and sustainable, that was being undervalued.
That was being thrown away.
Yeah, very undervalued. That's high performance.
Durable.
Now you've also got
biodegradable.
The timing.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something here.
I know.
This could happen.
I know. I'm trying really, really hard. And, it's look, entrepreneurship, you have to love the journey to make it. Like, you have to want to really find like who you are through the challenges to make it. Because you will continue again and again and again to kind of like get like kicked in the stomach. And you have to want to get up and want more. So I have that disposition. And, the only thing that could possibly deter me from continuing on the path would be if the market said, I don't care, I don't want it. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a marketplace of people who once awakened to the reality that vegan alternative material is petroleum. And we're increasingly learning that, hey, our skin is one of our largest organs.
The largest.
The largest organ, which is permeable. Perhaps wearing petroleum-derived synthetics on it all the time is maybe part of this bigger health, landscape we're looking at. I'm not a scientist. I don't know anything, but I do question a lot about modern society and, materials that we have been sold and have been developed that ultimately are funded by large corporate interests. And it's just, I don't know, there's just a common sense, like natural fibers that come from the earth, if grown in a regenerative manner, these fibers can be byproducts of land regeneration and rural community regeneration. So why wouldn't we center those again? So
I think we should.
I think we should too. Yeah.
This is all very exciting.
I think so.
If somebody else is out there and they're like, hey, I'm kind of excited too.
Yeah.
I want some Range Revolution leather.
Yeah.
Can they like go somewhere and figure out which companies are buying this leather and turning it into products? Like how do people find out more?
So Range Revolution has its collection of goods, which we're forever developing. The boots in all of our bags, which we have, kind of feminine designs. We have a few masculine designs. I would love to design something that you're really excited about, so we can talk about that.
Okay. I got some ideas.
I know you do. And then the boots, which are coming out, we've got like a tall, actually I'm wearing them right now. Let me show them off for a second.
Yeah.
These are just some like classic heritage, timeless ladies' boots.
Those are fancy.
Thank you.
You could work in those.
Oh, I've worn these hard. I've been wearing these really hard for the past 3 months, like really R&Ding them. And then we've got like a pair of the shorties that are a little bit more urban. So all those goods, finished goods, can be found on our website, rangerevolution.com. We have like a handful of stockists, other retailers that we're doing wholesale with. And then I can't talk about them yet, but soon, hopefully by the end of the year, we will be able to start talking about the brands who we've been developing leathers for this year. One is a pretty well-known American heritage workwear brand. And then two are definitely more like fashion forward. One is a designer in New York, and another is a designer based in Los Angeles. So I'll be able to talk about them more. And then, we're just looking to like build partnerships with brands who believe that telling the story in their raw materials is something that the consumer is increasingly interested in. And, we're not resting on altruism. Like, this makes business sense. Like, I live deeply in the cost of goods, and, our leathers are extremely competitive with any other higher quality leather that you could source.
Well, when your fashion forward New York folks go to roll this product out, if you need somebody to go out there and grill some flat iron steaks for the event, I'll do it.
I want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it all together.
That's, we're trying to tell this whole like nose to tail story. And I just think it's a part of this like bigger moment we're in, where I feel like the pendulum swung to plant-based and lived there for a while. And over the past couple of years, you're seeing a bit of an awakening where the lab derived meat alternative companies are tanking.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. What an insane
friggin' losers.
Pit of investment dollars and innovation that went into something that made no effing sense. We could have funneled all of that VC capital into making regenerative agriculture and conservation in agriculture far more viable and supported.
Mm-hmm.
Where would we be if all the money dumped into like lab-derived synthetic meats went to ranchers to improve their systems, went to pork producers to do things more ethically? Like, where would we be?
Wildlife would be in a better place.
Rural landscapes would be in better places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just feel like we're a part of a moment in which the pendulum is swinging back to questioning all of those things and just being like, I don't know. I don't think that the cattle grazing is the problem. I don't think that natural fibers coming from the earth are the problem. So I generally am pretty optimistic. I think we're in a cool moment, and I like a challenge, and this is where I'm focused. And then,
well, if only you were passionate about it.
Did Did I just talk for an hour about leather? I have no idea what just happened. I blacked out.
I'm gonna end this one with one of my favorite stories of somebody who was just completely lost. I was hunting ducks on a piece of public land where the ducks would pass over this high ridge on their way to water in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have told you this one before, but anyways, I'm shooting at these ducks as they're flying over. There's lots of ducks, and a guy that was out there hiking came up and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm duck hunting right now." And he had a problem with that and he wanted to talk about it, which, by the way, is illegal. Like, you're not allowed to disrupt or interrupt somebody while they're hunting on public land, or try and stop them from doing it. And that's exactly what this guy was doing. He was positioning himself between me and these birds. But I wanted to, be cool and have the conversation. He was really upset about me shooting ducks. Meanwhile, he was wearing a Patagonia down jacket. And after he had his time, I said, "Where do you think the feathers came from that are in that jacket?" Which, by the way, was wrapped in a petroleum byproduct.
Yes.
Right. And he said, "Well, they don't kill the ducks."
Oh, they just shave them?
Like, okay, my dude. One, that would be so much worse if that was true. And it's not. Like, those ducks die. Yeah. But if they're taking living ducks and putting them up against a rubber scrubber that was just beating the feathers off of them so that you could be warm on your hike where you're giving me a hard time for trying to shoot 7 wild ducks, get out of here. So I conclude with this. Folks, don't be that guy. Understand that in order for you to live, animals have to die. And it's always been that way. And at some point, you're going to die and other animals are going to live because of that. And that is how it goes. But if we can do things like make the most out of these animals and we can use the materials that we get from them in a healthy, sustainable, conscientious way, we should be doing that. And you know what? It's going to cost a little bit more than that petroleum byproduct that you might otherwise have. And if that's all you can afford, that's okay too. But if you can, look into the source of this stuff. Try and support a small business. Try and support people who are supporting other businesses that are doing a good job by the environment and by these animals. Like, that's something that we can all work on.
Kate Fletcher, who is really a scholar of this, she's lives in London and teaches and is a professor of sustainability and fashion. This is her quote, but it is, the most radical fibers are the ones that we already have. And there's an entire industry that is, propped up on the creation of new things while we have really, decimated this industry of natural fibers. And, Daniel Mao said during our South by Southwest talk, like, if you feel overwhelmed, like you're going to maybe after this conversation, look at your closet and ask yourself what ratio of your closet is petroleum derived and what percentage is natural fibers. And it will probably be like most of our closets, which it's a very heavy ratio in the poly and synthetics. Don't be overwhelmed. All of us of this era are like in the same dilemma. Look around our homes. We're going to see it more and more. The more we tuned in we get with this. And it is one article at a time. Like, the most sustainable thing is to use what you've got for as long as possible. The next most sustainable thing would be to maybe buy used. But when you are looking to source a new shirt, a new pair of pants, a new jacket, a new vest, like, maybe you think a little bit differently for that next purchase and you prioritize natural fibers, and maybe you look towards a company like Range Revolution or Duckworth or American Giant or like any of these companies that are like really trying to disrupt and rebuild domestic manufacturing, domestic raw material sourcing. One thing at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's try that.
Harder things have been done. Like, come on, guys.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Kate. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's great seeing you.
Yeah, likewise.
And I am excited to see what you come out with.
Yeah, me
It's going
too.
to be fun.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, James.
I like leather.
Yeah, I like talking with you.
Yeah. We'll do it again once these products roll out.
Cool.
Do a little update for people.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to everyone who has taken the time out of their busy lives to write a review for the show and share it with their friends. I'm extremely proud of how intelligent, engaged, and adventurous this audience is. Original music for the Six Ranch podcast is written and performed by Justin Hay. Art for the Six Ranch podcast was created by John Chatelain and digitized by Celia Harlander. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.